Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I, the one and only Sonic the Hedgehog here, aka the Blue Blur, aka Blue Justice, and I am back for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Sonic Rush for the Nintendo DS while we're still playing through Blaze's story. So, last time, we've essentially did manage to traverse into Zone 3, which appears to be Mirage Road, and on top of that, we also went into Zone 4, which appears to be Water Palace. So, oh no, we actually did those two zones, no problem. So, relatively speaking, and also we've somehow collected not only the third Soul Emerald, but also with the fourth Soul Emerald as well. So naturally speaking, we're now on to the halfway point in terms of Blaze's story, and it's also worth noting for we're now on the third quarter away for able to actually completely done everything for Sonic Rush. So because of that though, today for this video, as you can tell, is about the fact that we're going back into Altitude's Limit, but this time with Blaze the Cat in the 5th zone. So because of that though, and exponentially speaking we also decided able to actually also tackle through the 6th zone as well, which appears to be a huge crisis. So because of that though, and as a result, not only we can able to actually collect the 5th Soul Emerald, but also with the 6th Soul Emeralds respectively during the forms of certain boss fights. So because of that though, and I'm very glad that this is going to be the final time we can able to experiencing Altitude's Limit, but that's just mainly because at this point in time, that thankfully though with Blaze's story, it's actually thankfully a lot easier compared to the forms of how it does it for Sonic's story this time around. Because here's the thing though, that as I mentioned this before, that Blaze can hover for a bit, so as a result, no matter what though, you can also manage to able to pull off some nice little quick shortcuts here and there, just in case you really don't want to able to actually die too many times, because unlike in Sonic's story, it just feels a bit all over the place when it comes to difficulty, and so much to the point about the fact that there goes my first death in Journey Falls within Blaze's story. So because of that though, usually on the 5th zone in addition to that as well. So because of that though, yeah, it seems kind of weird actually, even though mind you about the fact it has been about quite a few days ago since I actually have last played this game for sure, because relatively speaking it's about the fact that from what I've heard anyway, that both Mighty and Ray have pretty much almost nearly at the end when it comes to playing through Super Mario Advance, so much to the point about the fact I believe they've only got about 3 worlds left in terms of the forms of the Yoshi Challenge as far as I'm concerned. So generally speaking I think they are both doing quite well actually. So because of that though, hopefully they should be able to actually finish that game up just before June approaches. So because of that though, because yes, today's date of course there is the 20th of May today, in some cases in 2024 today. And did you guys know about the fact that it's been 10 years ago since the death of the forms of Nintendo Wi-Fi connection for not only for the Nintendo Wii, but also with the Nintendo DS as well. So while looking back on it though, it is very depressing to see the actual online shuts down for the sake of not only for the Wii, but also for the DS as well, ranging from, about that particular nostalgia memory, whenever you manage to experiencing not only online matches for certain races for the sake of the forms of not only Mario Kart Wii, but also with Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing on the Wii version, whilst every nowadays, you can still able to actually experience online play for the Xbox 360 version, alongside with the PlayStation 3 version as well. And I believe that could be also applies for PC as well. I'm not exactly entirely sure about that. Well, mind you about the fact that we've never actually got the PC version of Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, but that's just mainly because I'm not exactly a huge PC gamer or anything else like that. So relatively speaking, I was about the fact that I would say that my favorite memory in terms of the forms of after the events of 10 years since when Nintendo Wi-Fi connection is now shut down, my favorite memory when it comes to experiencing Nintendo Wi-Fi connection is easily Mario Kart Wii, because mind you about the fact I do have a lot of nostalgia memories when it comes to experiencing online play in that game. I would say it plays with Super Smash Bros. Brawl, but unfortunately though, it did suffer the forms of a lot of lag, and on top of all that stuff though, it's just pretty much a mess really for the sake of Brawls Online, which thankfully has been improved for the likes of it not only in Super Smash Bros. For the 3DS, but also with Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U, and most recently, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Well, despite the fact that in Super Smash Bros. For the 3DS and Wii U, also about the fact that the online services is now shutting down, and recently, what I've noticed is about the fact that recently, I've decided able to come back onto Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U for a bit. Well, that's just mainly because, despite the fact that I haven't got that much progression when it comes to completing certain achievements or challenges for that game, especially noticeable concerning for the fact that some challenges are easy for the most part, and some of them are outright brutal at times. So as a result, no matter what though, it's about the fact that no wonder why that in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, that it does able to actually give you quite a larger amount, or a huge amount, of those golden hammers you can able to use from, assuming if, of course, you do need to complete certain objectives, that's the thing, in order to able to fill up with this particular golden hammer usage gauge. So because of that though, that's why about the fact, no matter what though, is about the fact that despite I still haven't exactly fully 100% everything in Super Smash Bros. Brawl just yet, alongside with Super Smash Bros. For the 3DS. Plus, it's mainly because no matter what though, I'm pretty much still at 100 challenges completed out of 105. So relatively speaking though, I still only got 5 achievements left until I've basically done everything for Super Smash Bros. For the 3DS before I move on to other games need to complete. Yes, including with the forms of Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U, by the way. But even then, no. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below for the question of the day. After the events of how the fact, you know, I've already mentioned about this before, it's been 10 years ago since Nintendo Wi-Fi connection is shut down, since in 2014 in May 20th. And what was your favorite memories for the sake of experiencing Nintendo Wi-Fi connection back in during the forms of in earliest 2010s? So because of that though, still my favorite memory times will have to be experiencing online races in Mario Kart Wii, and on top of all that stuff though, it's just about the fact I also do remember what else do I do sometimes remember when it comes to experiencing Nintendo Wi-Fi connection? I think that's as far as saying goes. I think that's as far as I can try to able to actually explain about the forms of my nostalgia memories when it comes to experiencing Nintendo Wi-Fi connection as far as this is concerned. But either way, I do know for a fact that a lot of Pokemon players out there who also do manage able to still remember playing through online matches for the sake of Pokemon battles. Specifically, I won't classify for saying for the sake of the forms of second generation remake or Pokemon Gen 5 or anything else like that. Well, mind you, I still have not played any of those mainstream Pokemon games since the 3DS games, specifically Ultra Moon, but that's just mainly because I haven't exactly got that much progression back in the day, especially noticeable because concerning for the fact that I just don't understand the main mechanics all that well, but at least I did somehow try it though. So anyway, and yes, as far as you probably already know about the fact that recently, not only for Sonic Dash, but also with the forms of Sonic Forces Speed Battle, or should I say, Sonic Forces Mobile nowadays, is that obviously the Metal Sonic version 3.0 has now been accessible when it comes to the forms of those character events. So no matter what though, still I'm in the actual process of able to actually, like, at the moment right now, I'm actually currently going back onto Sonic Dash right now for the sake of the forms of trying to able to actually unlock Metal Sonic version 3.0 after the events of Drama Cream. So no matter what though, it's, you know, it's actually pretty nice every now and then to able to actually go back onto that game every once in a while, because obviously though, I just found that game to be sometimes relaxing, whilst other times though it can get pretty intense at times when it comes to trying to dodge a lot of things. But either way though, that's besides the point. So but yeah, as far as the actual progression goes in Altitude's Limit for Blaze, it's actually not too bad this time around, because like I said before, her hover ability is certainly the most useful ability, especially concerning for the fact that if you're trying to come across into very, very tricky platforming, obviously though, her hover ability will be pretty handy. So yeah, I guess that's all there is to it for the sake of Altitude's Limit. I will say though, is about the fact that the music in the background when it comes to Blaze Mix version of that particular Altitude's Limit theme song in the background sounds a little bit more hardcore more than anything, which I'll admit it though right away, that I believe the actual song is actually called Get Edgy, so because of that though, just want to classify that for the sake of the forms of how the song was actually known for. So anyway, so it's now time to deal with the next boss in Blaze's story, and this boss is actually known as the Egg Eagle. Because, you know, get it because of how in fact it's almost a shape like a bird species, and as a result it's almost like an eagle. So it makes sense because obviously though this entire boss fight did manage to take place in the skies above. So, and we still have to able to try to deal with the forms of button mashing sequence every once in a while. So relatively speaking though about the fact there's not too much noticeable difference when it comes to dealing with certain boss fights apart from different color scheme for the sake of the forms of the actual boss's design. So either way, jeez, got to deal with more button mashing here. I mean, it's been quite some time since we actually did manage to do some button mashing since in Journey Forms Been Deadline boss fight against with Sonic. So because of that though, or in some cases myself, so because of that though, oh, and speaking of something relates to Drama Cream actually, I did somehow manage to able to find out when it comes to the forms of the actual status they've somehow got, in terms of based off for the sake of the forms of Sonic Forces mobile game, that obviously though is about the fact that when it comes to speed, that she does manage to have 9 out of 10 speed and 9 out of 10 acceleration. However, for strength though, that she does manage to able to have 5 out of 10. So because of that though, although I was originally trying to able to mention about the same thing for the sake of the forms of Metal Sonic version 3.0, but I'll save that particular topic for a later time, or perhaps even maybe that we'll let Tiana will mention more about it if she decides to able to go back onto Princess Peach Showtime for sure. So because of that though, it really depends on it really. So either way though, as you can see I'm almost gonna be oh jeez Louise, he's going a little bit more hectic as far as this is concerned. And yep, another button mashing sequence right there, so oh man. Although, kind of thing about it though is about the fact that when it comes to the forms of certain items, for the sake of the forms of Drama Cream that she does manage to have in Sonic Forces Speed Battle Mobile, and basically she does manage to able to have Rockstar Chow Attack, and on top of that, Bunny Boost, and finally, Drum Beat. So, no matter what though, that's the only things I can probably think about it. Well, mind you, despite the fact I still basically just somehow give up playing that game, mainly because I felt it was a little bit too aggressive at points. So, either way, that's just me. And somehow we did somehow receive the 5th Soul Emerald. So basically we've now on to 2 more Soul Emeralds left. So yeah, we are getting pretty close to this point folks, especially concerning for the fact that maybe it's the best opportunity I can think about that we can potentially try to able to end this entire... Oh wow, I got myself my fantastic S rank. So pretty top notch I might say. So either way, now we can able to go into this next pathway right here. And oh look, we meet up with the forms of Sonic. So because of that though, because I can definitely tell with that recognizable sprite. So because of that though, and I believe something tells me is about the fact that the next zone coming up is definitely a huge crisis. So relatively speaking, I was about the fact that it should be a little bit more straightforward basically, or self-explanatory I should say. And yeah, like I mentioned this before, is about the fact that in Blaze's story that you might able to come across into pink dot marks to able to represent the forms of branching paths you can able to go into. So relatively speaking though, because unlike in Sonic's story, it's all like a linear menu selection or something. Well, again, mind you about the fact it's been about, I would say it's been 3 days ago since I've, you know, last played this game for sure. And relatively speaking though, is about the fact that during at some point in this Thursday coming up, not Friday by the way, but specifically in this upcoming Thursday, that yes indeed, Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door Switch Remake is fastly approaching. So because of that though, I believe we've only got about 3 more days to go actually, until that game just somehow came out. So relatively speaking though, still I'm very excited for it, and I'm sure that most Paper Mario fans out there will be still very excited for it, even though it's a shame about the fact that like what both Ray and Mighty have already mentioned about this before, I guess, that basically that was kind of unfortunate we did not receive any of those pre-order bonus items, aside from the paper plane kit set. And on top of that, there was also the keychain as well. But let's face it though, they're just for bragging rights, I guess, to me anyway. So because of that though, yeah, I honestly have no idea how do I explain about this kind of stuff though. But either way, oh, there's something is worth noting for as well, is that for what I've heard anyway, that basically though is about the fact that I believe that we've also got about 4 more days to go actually, until the Goldfield movie is going to be on its way on a big screen, despite the fact that it already received some early previews of the actual film showing, since it generally falls within a weekend, specifically within both Saturday and Sunday recently, well, specifically in the UK version as it is. So, relatively speaking, that was about the fact that I'm still curious to check it out, especially concerning for the fact that obviously Chris Pratt did somehow voice Garfield, just like Mario, for the sake of the Super Mario Bros. Movie, since in last year. So because of that though, yeah, let's move on to the 6th zone, and that's of course, as I said before, Huge Crisis. So because of that though, also I just realized that the actual background music I'm hearing right now sounds a little bit almost robotic kind of sounds to it though, which I will say though is kind of eye-canny, at least to me anyway, but either way, so let's just go and get into the Falls of the Zone and whatnot. So, anyways, and yes, indeed, I did manage to able to research on what the forms of certain songs they are known for the sake of the forms of depending on what zones you go into. Like, we already know about the forms of quite a few, actually. Like, we already know for the fact that in Leaf Storm is actually contains a song called, Right There, Right On. And by the way, that song will be later brought back in Super Smash Bros. Brawl, which I think I've already established that before, I guess. And meanwhile, we actually have Water Powers, which does contain back-to-back. My goodness, that music is so catchy to me anyway. Especially noticeable, that song did somehow make a comeback in Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing. And for whatever reason, they decided able to reuse that particular song during the involves being a casino-themed racetracks, specifically in Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing. So, not exactly sure why though, but that's the way how it was represented, I guess. And meanwhile, in terms of the forms of Mirage Road, I think it's what it says anyway, basically that particular song is actually, believe it or not, it's almost like a circus or something circus-related or something. Well, mind you about the fact that I believe that particular song was actually gonna called, I would say, Elfino Circus, I think is what it says anyway, for the sake of the forms of the actual specific song is called. And on top of all that stuff though, when it comes to the forms of Night Carnival, the actual song they've used for that particular stage, and that's what appears to be by the forms of, I would say, Scat Cha Cha. So because of that though, that's as far as I can definitely notice this. And on the subject, when it comes to the forms of Crisis, or Huge Crisis I should say, basically though, as I mentioned this before, that particular song is actually called Jet Jet Rocket. So because of that though, yeah, I just want to classify that. And as I mentioned this earlier, about the fact that when it comes to Altitude's Limit, that song was actually called Get Etchy. So because of that though, I almost said Jetty for some reason, because I keep thinking about something else. So anyway, and obviously we already know about the forms of Deadline song they somehow used, and that's what appears to be by the forms of What You Need, which obviously brought back during the forms of being also in Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing for the majority of the forms of the Final Fortress race tracks. So because of that though, it makes sense, because obviously it does manage to take place into outer space or something. So even then though, I suppose that probably seems to be the case or something. So either way, and as far as I'm aware, I was really hoping about the fact that maybe at some point in during the forms of tomorrow, that we can definitely hear about the forms of how the review scores actually did turn out to be, when it comes to the forms of Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door Switch Remake. So I'm sure enough though, it will be received really well, unlike the forms of how it does it on Endless Ocean Luminous, that basically though, it did suffer the forms of a lot of poor review reception, and on top of that, just anything else in general. So because of that though, yeah, nothing else I can really say about that, I guess. So anyway, there's also another thing I want to classify for mentioning about this as well, is that, for I've noticed this, is that speaking of which, when it comes to the Garfield movie, I did somehow manage to able to find out that there was actually not one, not two, but 4 promotional images for the sake of the forms of the Garfield movie, and for whatever reason, they just somehow managed able to did a parody for not 1, but 4 movies during the forms of so far, for the sake of the most recent films coming up soon, for the majority of 2024 basically. And what do I mean by that though? Well, basically though, it's about the fact that they've shown Garfield in every single posters, or specifically when it comes to the forms of the marketing campaign for the Garfield Garfield movie. And no matter what though, they did somehow manage able to bring up a parody for not only Deadpool and Wolverine, but it's also with the forms of the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and also Mufasa the Lion King of all things, and finally, most notably, the Fall Guy. So because of that though, and for I've looked at the forms of the actual specific promotional material, or specifically the marketing campaign posters for those the Garfield movie posters, they look almost very accurate compared to the forms of how it does in any other like movie posters as far as I'm aware. Yes, I will say this right about now, because I will say it's about the fact that my favorite one will have to be by the forms of in based off from Mufasa the Lion King one, despite the fact that I'm still not going to be seeing Mufasa the Lion King after all, just because it looks rather barren, and on top of that though, I'm still not a big fan of the Disney live-action remake movies anymore, just because it's getting old very fast, and I'm sure about the fact that most Disney fans might know, they really do miss the old school Disney days, myself included, which is especially noticeable because I remember so many nostalgia memories when it comes to experiencing not only Aladdin, but also with Beauty and the Beast, and also Hercules, and most notably out of them all though, The Lion King, which as a result, by that time though, is about the fact that as far as what some Toys R Us has already mentioned about this before, that this year will mark the 30th anniversary of the original The Lion King film's release since in 1994. So because of that though, hopefully we're still trying to celebrate that particular film's release as part of the 30th anniversary treatment as far as this is concerned. I don't know if they might able to try to sort something out for the sake of the forms of announcing something relates to the 30th anniversary of The Lion King as far as this is concerned, but I'm sure we'll find out more details about that during at some point during the forms of it next month for now. So because of that though, and it's also worth noting for us about the fact that I'm pretty sure that we've already got about exactly 2 months left now until the Paris Olympics 2024 is going to take place. So because of that though, it seems that we haven't got that long now until that particular Summer Olympics is actually going to be fastly approaching. So because of that though, but I'm still very excited able to actually check out the forms of the new events they're going to be introducing to ourselves. That's of course breaking, stands for break dancing and stuff like that. So because of that though, yeah, nothing else I can really add around here. So either way, now I suppose there's technically another thing I want to point things out as well, is that I've noticed, is that Thrive can tell that basically during the forms of in Japan anyway, they were going to be receiving the actual book called The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Masterworks, which I'll explain more about that in during the forms of in the next boss fight we're going to be taking care of, and we meet again with the forms of in Huge Crisis boss, and relatively speaking though, this is going to be the final time we're going to be hearing metal scratching music in the background, because yes, that's what the actual the song was actually called, by the way, because again, if you're following through our mission mode videos for the likes of in, well, not just by the forms of the mission mode, but also with the entire Grand Prix mode in during the forms of in Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, that obviously knows about the fact that metal scratching will be brought back in a majority of the forms of the Final Fortress racetracks, you probably already know. So anyways, in terms of what this boss is actually called, well, I'll tell you exactly what this boss is called. It's actually known as the Egg Hammer Fortress. So basically it's like the, you know what I'm talking about, a much more of a tougher version of, you know, Egg Hammer Mega. So yeah, you probably get the idea of the actual similar design-wise, but either way though, except the fact that he's now going to be able to take control of the actual ship itself, while trying to, you know, shooting those missiles towards us, so everything else will become to expect. So either way, and it's also worth noting for is about the fact that, oh yeah, let's get back into the actual topic about the forms of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Masterworks book. Now, it did manage able to contain, let's just say, 464 pages for that particular art book, based off from the critically acclaimed The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, the Masterworks art book, which, for what I can recall, is going to be launching at some point on the 30th of August, and that's going to be represented for in the Land of the Rising Sun on 30th of August. So because of that though, at least specifically in Japan though, which I still have no idea when does the English version's gonna come out, but I will say that I really do like the actual front cover of the book as far as the actual thing itself is concerned. So even then though, I'm sure we'll find out more details about the forms of the English version of that particular book as far as the later months to come, but then again though, it's pretty tricky to tell. So either way though, it's also worth noting for as well is about the fact that I'm pretty concerned that we've only got about, I won't classify it as saying, a couple of weeks left now until Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble is going to be releasing at some point. So either way, and there goes Dr. Eggman for this particular Egg Hammer Fortress. So relatively speaking now, we can able to receive the 6th Soul Emerald. So that means we've only got 1 Soul Emerald left, which does manage to take place in Deadline. So yeah, nothing else we can able to explain about that, apart from the fact that, well, we're getting very close to this point, folks. We are definitely getting pretty close. But I will say, it's about the fact that we're actually doing not too bad so far, for the sake of the Forms of Blaze's story so far. I mean, sure, I did die once so far, and wow, I got myself my glorious S rank again. That's actually pretty top-notch around here. And, oh look, we actually meet again with Amy Rose right here. So, either way though, yeah, we'll talk to Amy again. So this time around though, it's about the fact that we can able to just meet again, I suppose. So, either way, and as be expected, the actual percentage number is about to increase for the sake of the space-time continuum. So there's nothing else we can really say about that, apart from the fact that it's actually going to get a lot more, bigger as far as space-time continuum goes. So either way though, that's all I can really think about it. So, and it's also worth noting for as well is about the fact that I also decided able to actually realize about the fact that when it comes to like one last thing I want to mention about this, potentially speaking though, is that I believe, during at some point in 11 days time, that particular film called Harry Potter and the Prisoner of the Azkaban, that particular film is going to be 20 for the sake of the films by the end of this month. So because of that though, I'm sure we'll try to able to celebrate that as well. When it comes to able to try to do some more recording sessions for that part, but either way though, I will say is about the fact that I'm going to mention this again anyway, that Blaze's story is actually a lot more emphasis on dialogue heavy, which as a result are able to actually questioning things, and on top of all that stuff though, just to understand about the fact that what Blaze is actually up to, and you pretty much get the idea of what's to expect at that point. So either way though, and yeah, I got nothing else to say. So, again, I apologize for my commentary, it's a little bit slightly iffy at this point today. I mean, let's face it though, it's about the fact that I've already explained quite a few things here and there, although unlike in new forms of him, both Mighty and Ray, they both managed able to mention about quite a number of things for the past few days or so. So, hopefully though, by that time, once we approach onto June, oh man, it's going to be pretty exciting for the most part, because not only we can able to expect to see the brand new Nintendo Direct at some point, I'm hoping for the sake of next month anyway, but I'm still really hoping about the fact that it won't be part of Showcase again, because I'm still not a big fan of those, I must be honest here. So, anyway, so, oh geez, we meet up with Knuckles again, so I'm guessing it's probably because after that particular argument about the forms of what's the difference between the Chaos Emerald or the Soul Emerald, but either way though, the Soul Emeralds are basically the Blaze's version of the Chaos Emeralds basically, so because of that though, yeah. Although I suppose there's technically the final thing I want to mention about this for the sake of today's topic is that, well, I don't suppose if you noticed that basically, as far as I'm aware, that both Mighty and Ray have already mentioned about the fact that yes, indeed, we finally managed able to get ourselves the gold variant of Dry Bowser in Mario Kart Tour at long last, because as far as I'm aware, that basically though, I was so desperately wanting to try to get that character so badly, but as a result, I did somehow manage able to become victorious when it comes to able to like trying to able to actually unlock that particular character at long last. Oh, and another thing too, yes indeed, I did manage to watch some more The Simpsons episodes recently, including with the forms of Homer's Enemy And on top of all that stuff though, just several of other episodes for the sake of the films of Season 5, and especially noticeable with certain episodes in Season 8. And I'm gonna say that I do really enjoy those episodes basically though so far, especially concerning for the fact that I've never actually seen those episodes before in my whole entire life up until now, because as far as I'm aware, I'm still in the actual process of watching every single The Simpsons episodes, including certain specials at one point, especially the most recent one with the films of May the 12th Be With You, which appears to be is like the Mother's Day special, specifically in America. So because of that though, yeah, that's something worth noting for, and it's especially noticeable about the fact that just like the films of how it does it for plus anniversary special shorts, basically though, there's gonna be filled to the brim with a lot of Disney references as well as cameos as well. So either way though, yeah, that's what I can really say about it. So yeah, with that being said folks, is that we got the endings up at this point right here. So join me next time for more of Let's Play of Sonic Rush in Blaze's story, and that's what appears to be about the fact that we're going into Zone 7, which is once again Deadline. So I'll see you guys until on Wednesday. Later fellas.